We Poles do not have many reasons to be proud when it comes to domestic car production. Well, we don't have any. Polones, Maluch, Nysa, Syrena, Żuk, Tarpan. Those are not the names that comes to your mind when we are talking about classic cars. Fortunately, we share borders with the country that is an undisputed king in this matter. The car manufacturer from that country was an absolute leader in the automotive industry in the first half of the 20th century, although not entirely recognized and for many unknown. Nevertheless, the title of the second oldest car manufacturer in the world is binding. The title of the leader even more so. A manufacturer obliged by it should deliver cars that are unique, unprecedented, and very distinctive in the terms of applied technical solutions. You may not know what kind of car it is, but when you see it once, you will never forget it. That's why today we are recording our video from the temple of Czech automotive, the Tatra Museum in Kopřivnice in Czech Republic. Not long ago we introduced you to incredible history of this brand and T87 model itself. Today we came here to tell you the story of an even more exceptional car. Produced only in 3 units, powered by V8 engine, one of the few Central European supercars, Mtx Tatra V8. Today, one of Tomek's biggest dreams is coming true. To see 3 existing Super Tatras next to each other. His octane-driven soul is happy today. So, let's not take it away from him. Tomek, let's do it.
The idea of high-performance sports car was brought to life by Cyril Svoboda, founder of Narek's rescue team, and Václav Král, designer and constructor in summer '86. Narex, as the only one organization of its kind in former Eastern Bloc, provides safety cars in the first Grand Prix Formula One in Hungary. But the pace car, which is the most prestigious one, was still provided by the Porsche, and it was 911. The Czechoslovak expedition lacked a more suitable vehicle for this purpose than Tatra 623, which was a rapid response vehicle based on Tatra 613. However, in the socialist system, product like this had no place, and therefore, shortly after, the leadership of organization Svazarm introduced fast rescue sports car with mechanic of Tatra passenger car, designed by Václav Král. Svazarm gave green light to build 2 units of this car and decided that the production will take place in Metallex, which was their service facility. A few months later, a new racing circuit in Brno was opened, and it brought an idea of starting new national race class of 25 identical supercars powered by Tatra V8 engine. The Super Tatra was born. Mr. Král continued developing of the car. In 1989, the Velvet Revolution occurred, and almost 2 years later, the first prototype was shown in Prague, in the atmosphere of freedom. Two cars, those 2 units, which were allowed to produce, are those 2. Both were red at the beginning. This is first, this is second, probably. Now, as you see, this one isn't red.
Wow.
And there are a lot of differences, more than color. For example, if you would like to fill your fuel tank in your white MTX, it's easy. Here, yes?
Yes, very good.
Yes. And if you would like to make the same with your red MTX, it isn't easy. No. No.
Yes, good. Yes.
You need to hold this clamshell to refill fuel.
Where we can find those headlights? They are quite slim, they are quite nice, as you can see. They fit this car pretty nicely, and they fit the car that it belongs to originally. Tomek, what was the car?
E31 8 Series from BMW. And as you know, we are pop-up headlights lover here in Garage Age, but it needs to be told that a lot of cars with open headlights don't look very good. Yes?
Yes, yes, very good. Yes.
And this one looks very good with open headlights. This black one unit, probably you saw in very non-classy music video for one very famous non-reader, Kanye W. Yes?
West. Yes, West.
Wild Wild West.
That's right. So if you think why Tomek is sitting behind the wheel, behind the actually tire.
The answer is because.
Because, yes, because he can. But the car was originally, maybe not originally, but presented in the Kanye West video clip. To the song that we don't know, don't care, and don't like. But basically, you might have seen it once. People outside of Czech Republic.
Okay, all those three cars has OZ rims, but this later one, black one, has current OZ logo on it, like you see now. And those two cars, earlier black, red and white, has old logo. Funny story about these wheels. Like you remember, those two cars were developed in the socialist reality, and they order OZ wheels for special order because of dimension, but they were not able to buy it during whole year.
Yes.
So the first car, this one, was first shown with 15-inch wheels borrowed from some Audi Quattro for some really
spec.
Yes. This white unit, which I think is in the most pristine condition, has a lot of nice touches. For example, this unit here, this device is probably the Frogger, the Mister, and is mounted on a rear view mirror. The white one is also the only one with air conditioning, which was installed aftermarket, but by Metallex. Because the first, probably, or second, I don't really know, owner ordered it. When he bought this car don't had air conditioning, and now it had. It was a lot of money for this situation, because as you need to remember that those cars are prototypes, and there are a lot of differences between all three, and no one thought that someone maybe would like to have air conditioning in this car, but this first owner, or I don't know, owner, ordered it.
Okay, so maybe it's time to say a few words about the designer, Václav Král.
Maybe.
What do you know about him? To the cut. Alright, jokes aside, we would now like to introduce you to the biography of Václav Král, the man behind the creation of the Mtx cars. And who better to tell the story of his achievements than his son Jiří? Take a listen. The older generation associates this name with a racer who had his own cars and an exceptional painter. His painting of Formula One cars and cross-sections inspired an entire generation of motorsport enthusiasts. The younger generation will likely perceive him as a timeless designer, particularly of sports cars. And the youngest generation? Today's world offers far more distractions than in a recent past, so perhaps we can introduce them to this truly Renaissance individual. There are plenty of articles listing his work, so you won't find a catalogue of his achievements here. However, if we were to ask his family, they would tell us that, even as a young boy, he had a remarkable talent for drawing. During his teenage years, he became fascinated with automobiles, particularly Tatra cars, as a native of Ostrava. This passion led him to aspire to become a racing driver and a car designer. He understood well that what we now call design was a discipline requiring both technical and artistic knowledge. While he believed he could teach himself to draw and shape forms, he knew he needed formal education in mathematics and physics. Thus, he decided to study at the Higher Automotive and Aeronautical Industrial School in Mlada Bolesław. Back then, before the unification of secondary education, there was a specialized school dedicated to training aeronautical and automotive engineers. This approach to blending technical and artistic knowledge was something he later passed on to his own son, who worked alongside him for a quarter of a century. Already during his time at the industrial school, he began creating technical illustrations, which he started publishing in Svet Motoru at the age of 16. From that point on, he realized he needed both a delicate touch for drawing and firm hand for racing and working at the bench in the workshop. Throughout his life, he managed to balance these skills perfectly. Václav as a painter. Whatever came to mind, he could depict perfectly, sometimes as a quick sketch in pencil or ink, and other times as a flawless painting. After his early days working for Svet Motoru, where he documented racing motorcycle technology, saying, "A sketch can be replaced by a photograph," he began working for several automotive magazines under SNTL, Nasze Wojsko and Mlada Fronta. He painted not only series of racing cars for Automobil, Svet Motoru and Motorstyčka Současnost, often accompanying articles that describe the vehicle's technical peculiarities and innovations, but also created his own series about racing and technology for children's magazines like Ochniček and Sedmička. For Czechoslovak factories, he painted educational cross-sectional illustrations such as Škoda cars, TKD ship engines and Zetor tractors. As a local patriot, he contributed pencil illustrations for the Rastoki newspaper. For many years, he created safety campaigns for the energy industry, using humor to highlight potential risks of workplace injuries. This is likely the least known part of his work, but was highly popular within the energy sector. Václav as a racer. First a motorcycle racer, later a car racer. He was the creator of the first Czechoslovak buggy for Mtx, and 30 years later the first Czech solar car, this time in collaboration with his son and students from CVTU. Václav was a founder of autocross in Czechoslovakia, but later shifted to racing with formula cars and spiders, as he disagreed with the FIA's decision to allow all-wheel drive in off-road racing, which he believed was inappropriate for single-seater race cars. He built his own race cars under his scout name Bagheera. This included buggies powered by Škoda and Tatra engines, and later the Spider B6. His final custom race car, a Bagheera, was co-designed with his elder son, while his younger son, at just 10 years old, served as a driver. Remarkably, this car managed to travel nearly 300 kilometers on a single liter of fuel in 1988. Václav as a designer and engineer. His first designs were his own racing motorcycles and cars. After ending his racing career, he began designing vehicles for his former competitors, while continuing to work for Mtx, a company he helped establish in 1968. One of his visionary ideas was the KN formula car, which utilized exhaust gas energy for aerodynamics. His Spider Bagheera featured a safety cage that was remarkably advanced, nearing modern safety standards. The most notable period of his work came in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Among his creations for Mtx were the Favorita Roadster and the Mtx V8 Super Tatra. Other designs included the Mistero with a Corvette engine, the roofless and windowless Speedster and the Verold and Rebel sports cars, which used Škoda components, and in their later versions, Audi engines with 5-valve technology. At the time, however, Václav began redefining his approach, focusing on a philosophy of consumer modesty. He believed humanity was wasting too many resources and needed to reduce the environmental footprint of personal transportation. This shift led to entirely different projects, culminating in the LAC three-wheeler. By 1990, this vehicle achieved a calculated fuel consumption of 3 liters per 100 kilometers and a drag coefficient of just 0.17. Václav as a teacher. Just as brilliant as he was as a creator, teaching was another passion that deeply fulfilled him. He took great joy in sharing his knowledge and witnessing the growth of his students. He celebrated their achievements and took pride in seeing them improve over time. Together with his students, he built his first Czech solar car under the motto, "Our great-grandfathers harnessed steam, we will harness the sun." With his own family, he also nurtured a successor, who cherished the 25 years they've spent collaborating. Václav and family. Few great creators have had a functional and happy family throughout their lives. Václav's was such a family. one that remains strong and content for the entirety of his life. So now you can see for yourself what makes the Mtx project so great and unique. Behind it stood a highly talented man with a passion and love for what he did. And we at the Garage 8 would like to sincerely thank Mr. Král for preparing this text and sharing the visual archives of his father's work that you can see in that movie.
We need to say that we are third time here with those cars.
Yes.
And we start to look at it and we find it very clean and simple designed. For example, look at it, spoiler. It's integrated with body and this clamshell here towards this direction. And air goes to the engine, of course, because it's here. But also it's part of our aerodynamic of this car, yes? Like you see from behind, car share rear headlights?
Yes, rear headlights, very good.
Rear lights with Tatra 613. Of course, like we said before, Tatra 623 was base for this car in the meaning of mechanic stuff, for example, but 623 based on 613. So, for example, the placing of engine, because maybe you think that engine is here, like in usually central mounting engine car.
It's not like Audi?
It's not like Audi R8, but engine isn't here and isn't here. Engine is directly on
the axis.
Oh, axle.
No problem.
Yes, because it was made like this for 613, also for 623. So engine is here on rear axle. Also, like you saw on B-rolls, interior of this white one is very red.
Very.
But dashboard in red unit is the same like in one unit, in white unit, excuse me. Yes, yes.
Well, actually, no, but...
Very similar, yes?
It's black and sad.
But you know, touches, I don't know.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that.
Dashboard.
Let's go to the black one.
Because the black one has a really different dashboard. All those three cars are now in private hands.
And not yours.
The black one has Tatra logo at front. Those
because
two,
it's older.
Probably.
No, because it's younger.
Younger, yes. And like you see, metallics at front of those two early ones. Bartek, what are your thoughts about this car? Is it good for you in the meaning of it is pretty for you? I don't know. Compared to other sports car from that time, from another part of Europe?
Not as pretty as you.
Oh.
I just cannot be overwhelmed by the beauty of this car when I'm listening to your English, god damn it!
My English is perfect, yes.
Okay, but to be absolutely serious, I have a big problem with this car for one reason. I love the front, I love the E31 headlights, and basically all the design till the point where we reach the end of the car. The rear part of the car with those 613 headlights, not headlights.
Rear headlights.
Yes, very good. Where it looks like a big afterthought for me because it's really smooth. You're going with this car, you're going through very nice curvy parts, very clean, maybe
sleek.
a bit simple, but still very 90s like, or maybe even 80s. And then we are getting to the 70s. This is the only thing that I would like to see done differently, but I don't know how. But still, as the overall project, it looks very, very, very good.
As you see, also the exhaust system is different. This one has different than those two others.
Yes.
Don't listen to Bartek about, oh, this rear are too simple, it looks like cut something, because you need to remember that it was first attempt for any Central and Eastern Europe sports car. They don't, you know, for example, in those times when they shown this model, Lamborghini shown Diablo, yes?
Yes.
But before Diablo was Countach, a lot of years, and before Countach it was Miura a lot of years. It's first one.
Well, maybe there is a reason why another one never came to life, except for the fact that Tatra stopped doing cars, but still.
No, it's not. It don't have any common with this. The main reason was that after showing this car in Prague '91, if I could remember, if I remember correctly, Bartek,
thank you.
The factory burned to the ground. So they have 200 orders, something. They decided that they will build 100 cars, and after it, burn. The roof is on fire. We don't need a water. Let the burn.
It's nice to work with you. I don't know if you are singing or playing charades, but still pretty fun.
This is
the main. Do more English videos.
This is the main reason.
Is there anything relevant that you would like to say about those cars? And I'm not talking about the seats. Anything relevant, important, not our quirky, stupid sense of humor.
To tell the truth, black one and red one are our cars.
Yes.
Like you see,
so you're going with
our
this.
Initials. Yes?
Yes, I
this
can
is
see
yes?
that you're going with this, so, well... Actually, this is... Now when I look at it, it looks like G4.
But it's GA.
Right, now you can see it, so GA. G, just G because it wear off. And in the black one, it's also GA, so as Tomek told you, this is our cars. Of course, because garage age.
Garage age. If you want to open anything here in the red car, you need to open whole clamshell. Yes, from here. And black one and white one has normal opening only with this piece, this one.
Yes, this is called hood, you know? Hood.
This.
Very good, very good. Tomek learns words. So, yes, so sum it up. The whole front part of the body need to come off to...
Clamshell.
You look like a clam. And here we have a hood, so slightly easier to work with. Good. Are you still here? Are you awake? Yes? Good, because now we have something to wake you up. We have a special guest for today's show, a person who knows everything about each and every Tatra in this museum, each and every Tatra in the history of the company. He drove all of those three MTX, and basically he is a founder of Tatra Heritage Foundation, classic car broker, and even a person who will send Tatra to space. So please say hello to Józef Kasperkiewicz.
So, as Bartek introduced our today's guest,
Yes. I am the guest, but I need to be quiet until he remembers my name.
this is Józef, my friend, and now we'll be speaking of cars.
And let me introduce you Tomasz, my friend.
So, we have it, yes? Perfect? It has very own charisma, I think, from my point of view.
Yeah, I think that there's points from where to observe the car and also to consider how it was, accepted, what could be attractive about it for the customers. It was not going to be faster than Bugatti.
I see.
Probably was not better handling than, I don't know, McLaren FF1. Probably was not, as screaming as Ferrari F50 or something. That was not the point. It was exotic because these cars should be exotic. And for
unique.
The Western markets, Tatra still has some resemblance from the past. That's true. Their air-cooled engines were kind of legend themselves.
Yes, for sure.
Back at the time, it was still in the production. So that was interesting. Of course, even the conception of the engine, I was sitting, on the rear excellence, so it's interesting itself. For those who are interested in the technology, all these cars have something special about them.
Yes.
So even this was checked, of course, it has something crazy and interesting and original for itself. So it was exotic, From the point of view from the
course.
Western markets, it was something from Eastern Bloc. Yeah, how something like this
Iron curtain, you know.
could go so far that it's now standing on its own wheels and riding around us. Of course, there's many faults. All three cars are prototype. Even the third one that was dedicated from the very beginning to be used,
For
it's a
driving.
lot of compromises.
I see.
That's it. But I think like for example, in Monaco, I guess that, except this Formula One events.
Yes.
And this, 50 meters, then they go from 0 or 20 kilometers to 150 and then braking. Actually, nobody drives them, and it's not about handling. It's about showing yourself. So I think that at least at this point of the view, it was still attractive because there was something that was not known.
Exactly.
Not known. Yeah, that's
And
it.
from my point of view, also, as we mentioned, for example, Lamborghini, it was also very compromised. We need to remember it. Because
As you have seen the pictures of the frame itself, because its pedigree is from the idea of a racing car. So the whole tubular frame, it's very robust. It has integrated this roll cage. And if you compare it with the frame of the, for example, Lamborghini Diablo, this one is much more robust. It looks like a Batmobile to it. Yeah. So maybe, because of course these craftsmanships, they are always admiring it. Yeah. They're trying to to promote it. Of course, the leather stitching is precise. The leather smells well. The carpets are woolen, and you can lose your legs in them. Yeah.
Yes.
And everything is great.
But underneath,
Until the moment then you lift it, as all the cars with the 30,000 kilometers, and of course it's tubular frame as this one. Yeah.
Of course.
Do not fool ourselves. But you see that at the craftsmanship underneath, I think that the difference itself was not so wide. Yeah.
you see, probably as it was first attempt, for example, yes? And
Exactly.
I understand that they have a very big heart for this project. I mean, workers, Mr. Král, Mr. Svoboda, etc., etc.
It was a dream that was developed over the years. You see their development from the first ideas, what was the motive, what was the moment that it has reached, and then finally it was agreed to be produced in 2000. Then was this racing series was considered. So it was constantly developing, changing, and so on. Of course, the Velvet Revolution has came. And we were about what to do with it. It was attractive. Still, development was, let's try to make something of it. So they promoted it as the road car. I remember back then, when for the first time we were going, it was Plzeň, Metalex has these grounds in Plzeň, when they're going with this first car out of the grounds to the road.
Okay.
And they were producing the racing cars, and so from time to time need to go out and so on.
Probably.
So they were very self-confident. So turn, step to the gas, and so they make backwards, and they have leveled it up. I think it was for 20 millimeters again, to be at least basically useful. But again, they have repeated this attitude with the third one that is even higher. So then you see that the shape of the fender and the wheel here is fitting well. At the third one, not because they didn't change the forms for one car, but it's sitting higher.
More drivable,
For this purpose. So still, it was not able to hide its racing pedigree because it was developed and designed original as the racing car.
On racetrack, you don't need to.
At most, where it was tested, probably this problem was not an issue. That's sure.
If it was dream of those peoples and it was first attempt, maybe they try a little harder than competitors from different side of Europe. Maybe they weld this chassis better.
There is told that as it was homologated, there were issued 25, as I was told. It could be corrected, of course, the registration titles. So even if they, fulfilled this homologation, because there's difference for the homologation requirements for the single, for the small series, and that's so. So I think that this 25 was the borderline back then. For some things, the car was not able to reach. So that was the decision. Probably still also following this idea for this 20 racing car and 5 cars, for Metalex, for Narex, and so on. And even if they fulfilled and they used all these 25 registration titles, these 25 wins, it will be still exclusive car. So if to compare, I remember Jiří Král has once told me, if you take a closer look, for example, at the Bugatti EB110, at the shape of the front after it was redesigned from this, early Gandini design. I like both, but probably the Mr. Artieri was about to make it a little bit more convenient front end.
Probably.
And you take a look at the front, you say, compare with Super Tatra. I would like to say they copied us.
Okay.
What I would like to say is, and I agree with this point, my father was working on something that was maybe not as the piece itself, completely comparable, but he was on the right way, and he has the good sense for the shape, for the proportion, for the line, and so on. That's it, I think. And with 25 cars potentially available, of course, they've planned to build 100 original. They have received 200 pre-orders. I've held them in my hands. It's interesting, Name, surname, address, phone. Additional request. Red Ferrari. Here we are again.
Of course.
Radio Sony. And then you take another one, It's something, so it was pre-orders, but of course it's interesting because I was somehow involved at the process of this, reinvented production, very early stages.
Okay.
And one of the things that were tried was to take some of these elder pre-orders and try to call them.
Okay.
I didn't do it by myself. I was told that maybe 5 people were still alive.
Okay.
And still interested.
Oh.
So maybe if we will another point how to judge it, to compare, to consider it, this is also telling something. If after 30 years somebody calls, we are probably going to produce it, and they say, okay, I'm still interested.
It's 30 years later, but
at least it means that they didn't forget. And I think that's also worth it, because how many of these, unsuccessful, unfinished, unproduced prototypes of supercars were, as you see, it was the first attempt for the supersport in Czechoslovakia and the Czech Republic. That's it. And if it was produced, what could be the direct competitor? Probably it won't be Ferrari or Lamborghini or something.
Not.
It won't be faster, it won't be handling better. But cars like, I don't know, Isdera.
Maybe.
Or Cizetta.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's...
And it's still, if they are a little bit, maybe a little bit, obscure for somebody, or a little bit, avant-garde for others, still they have a really hard and faithful following. So I think it could have its own place, but to compare, it was worse or better or as well, it's not the point. We can say, and it's merely connected with the engine and the mechanics that were used, of course with its plus and its minus, of course, that it has its own identity, and it's of course heavily influenced by the installation of Tatra engine. So that's it in my eyes.
Josef, as you told me once, you saw all 5 of 3.
Well, it's true.
It's true. Can we...
You would like to know something more about it,
something more and something deep, because it's very
It's weird, to count to 5 when there are only 3 cars in existence.
5.
I see. As
How
you can
to
see,
explain it?
well, of course, there's something like my madness. It explains a lot.
It can be.
Usually you are crazy when you fell in love with Tatras, or you became crazy after you start to love them. Okay. So madness is always the issue with Tatras, or anything which has the engine from Tatra inside. But regarding your question, it's true, there are 3 cars in existence, but as you have probably read somewhere at Wikipedia and other open resources, there was also the 4th chassis with bodywork and glasses, delivered as the kit, without the engine, without the suspensions, without the brakes, without the merely powered interior.
Okay.
And then, as the further development of the original idea, there is so-called 5th car, which is also some kind of, known, usually, mistaken for the 4th. At some resources they became the 1, but there are 2 different cars. I can confirm it.
Okay.
And the 5th car is different because it's longer wheelbase, a little bit different body, different front end, side panels, a rear end, and it's powered by Porsche engine. So original anti-Porsche became Porsche powered.
Okay.
And it has the aluminum frame. So not the steel one as this 3 plus 1, but the aluminum. So these are all cars known to exist, which are Super Tatra or has came from Super Tatra project later.
Okay, so we have 5 cars. Those 3, this 5th, which you are talking about, this redesign with aluminum chassis. And what about this mythical kit sent to USA, or it should be, or it won't be? Because there is a kind of rumor about this car, and I believe that maybe you know something else.
You know that I know.
No.
It's like a Christmas special, shot, in the middle of the summer, It's a funny piece of story. No, it's true. Where it has came from, probably will tell us more about where it was delivered first.
Okay.
But from what I know, it has spent at least last 25, maybe 30 years in Europe.
In Europe. Okay.
That's it. 25 years seems to be more accurate, actually. But
Okay.
we will
so
come to
not
this
in
later.
USA.
We will see. To be honest, at this moment,
Okay.
I do not know exactly. We are
Okay.
going to observe it, find it, document the whole story, and then to share it with fans, enthusiasts, as it was. Because this mythical fourth, needs to be discovered a little bit more formally.
I see. In
officially.
future.
That's it. Sure,
But it's exists.
it exists.
This car still is in Europe, or you can confirm it?
I can. Yeah.
You can confirm it. Okay.
I was talking about it. That talking is my favorite hobby. So I was talking about a lot of things, and among these things was this fourth car. And it was it's almost 1 year ago, and I was talking to Peter.
Okay.
Because,
Your friend.
he has joined Tatra Heritage, I think, in 2013.
Okay.
And with his lovely, graphic works and other
Yes.
support, we've been able to,
From your
this
books, for
excursion, our book, this graphics, also the book about Tatra 80, this cabriolet from Mr. Kasik that I have
Yes.
showed you is also completely solved graphically by him. So it's
Perfect
very precious. And we were talking about this car or this project because among all those years we got a chance to touch all three cars before they have came together at one place here during last year. And I was about still, Peter, I'm really wondering what is going on with this fourth one. I just would like to see, to complete list
I
something,
see.
and of course all those years it was almost quiet about it. It was a
So myth and legend.
kind of myth, and of this myth, what ifs, was it, wasn't it, how it's still
Maybe.
existing, what is the condition that maybe it's very, nowadays is very actual word, maybe, do you like me, I'm afraid, maybe. So it's kind of stuff that is very actual today, and it was like, I think on Friday even we just talking about one, two things, Super Tatra, yes, I've talked to Easy, and we mentioned, still this fourth car. It was on Friday, and I think it was on Saturday, so the next day. Closely after the lunch, so with proper time,
Of course.
with some gastronomy, sedative mind, you open the email and there is an offer. Email, this thing that you've been talking about,
Okay.
the evening before, it's existing, it's available, and it's available for purchase.
Oh.
So, if you are interested, because you see that you have found the organization, you have spent some time, you've probably touched most of the cars, you are in touch with, Mr. Král and so on. If you are interested, let me know.
Okay, so that's it for today. We hope that you like this video, but also like those super unique cars. 3 out of 5 out of 3 out of nobody knows how much, but basically a very amazing, very special day within the empty museum full of history, because we are not talking only about those 3 cars. We've also recorded second video about other interesting cars that are in this museum. And this is the place to say thank you to people who helped us to make this day possible. So first of all, the owner of this beautiful white Mtx, he allowed us to get in, to make some B-rolls, to make some photos for our video. And this is not something that anybody would allow, so very, very big thanks to you. Second, of course, the Museum of Tatra in Koprzewnice, all the staff that helped us to make this day possible, that allows us to record everything in every and each place in this museum. And finally, great thanks to Josef, our friend, with, as you've been able to see, exceptional knowledge about those cars and Tatras in general, who driven here straight from Prague today just to give us this interview. So it's like 5 hours of drive.
Maybe.
Thank you once again. Subscribe, of course, please, come on guys, subscribe this over here or somewhere there. And that's it for today. Tomek, your job is done here, so goodbye.